Hey, my name's Sean. Welcome to Echoes in Eternity Bourbon. Do you know what I like to hunt? So, sitting here in front of me, and I'm not trying to show off things, are four bourbons that are pretty tough to find a lot of times. You're not going to get them at MSRP. They're usually going to be part of a package. You're going to play part secondary for them. All very good bourbons, but George T. Stagg, it's not something you're going to find all the time. It's very tough to get. This E.H. Taylor single batch, single barrel, I should say, is it's not just going to be sitting available for everybody, all the time. This Jack Daniels 12, if my brother-in-law didn't hit, a significant portion of the Alabama lottery, I wouldn't have this bottle unless I was spending a whole lot of extra money on something. So it makes it, more difficult to find. This Stag just happened to get really lucky. Part of a package deal while I was out hunting with somebody, still had to pay more than MSRP, but it's not something I see every day. So those bottles right there, they're great and all, but they're not readily available, and they're not something you're going to see on the shelf all the time. And so, as nice as it is to have and to share, because I do share a lot of my stuff, it's not something that happens all the time. And one thing I want to do is people have these different things. They talk about the 5 bottles you need to grab now, or 10 bottles you must buy. I'm never going to tell you what to buy. I'll give you what I like about it, and why, my methodology behind it, and what it did for me and how it tasted for me. And I'll show you the bottles that I like to kind of hunt. Here's the stuff that I like. Of course, I like to hunt those bottles that were just up here, but the potential for me actually getting those at a reasonable price is kind of unrealistic. So when I go into different stores, I want to share with you how I kind of hunt things. First thing is you know, I want to kind of look at a specific price point. Like one of my favorites, right? Sorry, Joseph Magnus cigar blend. So the Joseph Magnus cigar blend, fantastic. I think it's an excellent pour. I've had a couple of different samples and I got a couple of different batches. But looking at this month's upcoming bourbon drop in Alabama, it's going up to nearly $200. And even I go, do I really want to spend $200 on something that every batch is a little bit different? And I know it's probably going to be good, but I could probably get 3, sometimes 4 bottles that are really, really good for that price, or 2 amazing bottles for that price on something that I'm going to nurse because I don't want to drink it all down so fast because I really like them. So it's kind of a risk versus reward type of thing, because you're not going to get a whole lot of pours of them. There's not a lot out there, and you're really going to have to put a lot of capital investment up front to see if you're really going to like it. So I wanted to go over some of the bourbons that I look for, and I try to keep the bourbons that I look for anywhere between that 45.99 up to maybe $130. And there's specific things that I look for because I understand what I like to drink. And I did a video the other day, some of the things that I put on a bourbon budget bar, and at least one of them is going to be on there, and that'll actually be this first one down here. And so, Knob Creek, Knob Creek, the single barrel store picks at 120 proof. And I had some comments on there. Well, I can't find them for less than 55 or $60. I happened to get this one. I want to say for $46, and I've seen them in that range too, for 55 and $60. But for $46 to $60 for 120 proof single barrel bourbon, that is very good quality. I always look at the stores when I go in to see, do they have a Knob Creek that they've selected for that store at 120 proof. A lot of people made in the comments too. These are better a lot of times than, they're Knob Creek 12 here, and I agree with that. I think that I think they have great flavor. 120 proofs right in my wheelhouse. It's something I definitely enjoy. And so when I go in there, that's one of the first things I'm going to look for. Do they have a store pick of Knob Creek? Because traditionally, I've liked every one of the store picks that I've had. It's consistent, but they're all going to vary just a little bit. And so Knob Creek is one of the ones that I tend to look for. Another bottle that I find that I like to go to and find in the store was something that one of the other products was mentioned on my budget list, but this is the Bowman Single Barrel, John J. Bowman Single Barrel. And you'll find these between $65 and $70 when you can find them. They're 100 proofer. It comes from Buffalo Trace Mash Bill. It's 100 proof. It's triple distilled. For me, bang for the buck. If I'm going to sip on something, I think they're amazing to sip on. And there's something that you may not find readily available, but you'll find more available to an E.H. Taylor, which I compare this to a lot. And actually, I'll need to do a blind on some of the different Buffalo Trace products, and I'm going to include some of the John Bowmans to see how they compare in a blind. The blind is a bias killer. And when I put these in blinds, traditionally, they end up usually close to the top, if not on top. And so I know that for my palate, I like the John J. Bowman Single Barrel. And it flies under the radar sometimes. And so when I go out, if I see it, I'm going to pick up a bottle. I've got a few friends that absolutely love it too, and it's their daily drinker. Certain things are hard to find in that price range that you just say, when I see this, I want to have it, because I'd have to spend twice as much to get something comparable. And so John J. Bowman's another one of the ones that I personally look for and that I enjoy. Next bottle here. This is actually a new one that I have to thank Terrence for. We were out hunting a few weeks ago, and he made the comment while we were hunting. He says, if you see this bottle at this age and this proof point or over, you need to get it, because it will truly surprise you. And I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. So we were going through the stores and we saw some of them, but we didn't quite find what we wanted. We went to the last store, kind of a Hail Mary type of thing, just to see if there was anything there. And sure enough, behind the counter, Terrence spots two of these bottles. First one, he gets me, and I'm like, Terrence, you sure you don't want this? He says, no, you get it. And then he sees another second bottle back there. And this is the George Dickel 15 year. The keynote you're looking for over there is you want to find something, he said, at 100 proof or more. It really makes the difference. And we happened to find two bottles that day. I should say he happened to find two bottles, and I was just the beneficiary of it. And, sure enough, we get there, and they had the two bottles. And I just happens to be, after I was done bourbon hunting with Terrence, I actually got to meet up with a couple of guys that run their own channel. Awesome guys, Matt and Brandon from Whiskey Wisdom. And, we had the benefit of going to one of the places that they hunt at, and they had a tasting room. And with Thomas, the guy that owns the store, we were able to try some different things. And Matt was looking at me like I had three heads when I said, look, you need to maybe try this Dickel 15. And he was like, I don't know about all that. But, I said, look, there's someone I really trust with my palate. I've had some of the things he suggested. We've got some samples back and forth. He's lucky to have family in this area, so we can do those things. And he said, okay. And he was shocked by how good it was, and for the price point. So if you happen to find a George Dickel 15, it may be worth the roll of the dice to see if it's something you like. I think that with that age statement and with that proof, it's something that falls right into my wheelhouses of something that's an easy sipper, something I really enjoy. Now, I traditionally like my proof points a little bit higher, but coming in at 100, I think it was 100.4 proof, I thought it had fantastic flavor. Now, if you get exceptional flavor out of something, the proof isn't as important to me. So if you get something that's, has good flavor, but it could be better if you amped up the proof, I'm going to go for that higher proof every time. But this came in fantastic pour, and it's something now that I've added to my catalog of things that anytime I go into a store and I see Dickel 15 year, I'm going to look at the proof points. And if it's over 100 proof, it's going to go out the store with me. Another one that I like to hunt, and there's a preference that I have, and now it's like I said, it's new to my Rolodex, and the reason I do that too is because I can't go out every day and buy a $200, $300 bottle or hunt for something that's very, very hard to find. And I want people to understand there's things out there that you can enjoy that you won't that you may be readily available on your shelf, and maybe it's even more budget friendly. So Dickel 15 is another one that I've added to my mental Rolodex of things to look out there for. Next one, let's see what we'll go with. And this is a personal preference thing for me. ASW. So ASW, it's out of Atlanta. I like all their products, but this one in particular, it's amber on a cask. And if you've probably heard of like Rio, which has been really, really popular and something that people have really kind of gone gaga and heads over heels with. The thing that kind of I think sets Rio apart, and this Penelope, is the amber on a cask, which gives it an exceptional cinnamon flavor. So I like cinnamon. If you like cinnamon, I would look for something that's in an amber on a cask. I've got some Doc Swinsons now. I've got the ASW, and there's a couple others that I have an amber on a cask. I've actually got one that was done in rye that I'll be reviewing here pretty soon as well. So I really like the cinnamon. If you like cinnamon, and this is real specific to me, I look for things in amber on a cask because I love that enhanced cinnamon flavor in my stuff. So for me, when I see amber on a cask, it kind of triggers, this might be something I need to look at. Then do I trust, do I know anything about this company, or do I trust this company? What is the price point? What is the proof on this? How long has it been aged? So once I see that, I start calculating some other things to say, is this worth me rolling the dice on? Because I know typically I like amber on a cask things. So for me, it's if I see that and I understand the company, or I have someone at the store that can give me great feedback on that company, it's worth it. So that's another thing that you always have to remember in hunting bourbon is where are you hunting at? And do you have a relationship with the people there? I can say I'm very blessed. I do spend an inordinate amount of time at liquor stores, but I talk to the people that work there, the management team, some of the people that select barrels, and I ask them questions. I say, "Hey, can you tell me a little bit about this? How does this compare to this? Or have you tried this yet? Or what are your thoughts on that?" And they're people that are just fantastically full of knowledge and very insightful and can point you in the right things on things and help you if you've developed that relationship with over time. They can go, you really like this, so you're probably going to really like this. But if you really like this, you may not like this so much because of A, B, C, D. So take that time to develop that relationship with people, and they'll help you maybe find things that you didn't know about. And that'll be a little bit further down the line in this video, which led me into two of my favorite bottles this year that I found. Next bottle, this is kind of a steady Eddie. Anytime I see an Elijah Craig barrel proof or a store pick Elijah Craig, I'm going to pick it up. It's a consistent good bottle for me, then sometimes a great bottle for me. I know they're a little more expensive, probably 70, 75 bucks, but it's going to come out 3 times a year. And sometimes if you run into some stores barrel pick, they'll have some phenomenal juice in there. And for me, it's a consistent product that I know I'm going to enjoy, and I'm going to have, I can share it with friends. And if they like the similar types of bourbons that I do, they're generally going to enjoy it. I've never had something that I would consider a bad Elijah Craig product. I'm sure there's other people who taste things and experience things different that they may have got it and said, it's just not for me. That's okay. But for me, Elijah Craig's always been something that I found and I went on consistently. And so when I see them in a store and it's a batch that I don't have or a store pick, I'm going to pick it up because I'm comfortable with Heaven Hills products. I'm comfortable with the Elijah Craig products I've had in the past, and it fits into my wheelhouse on a lot of the things that I like. So when I see this out, it's almost an instant pickup for me. Next one is look at your general area. you guys hear me probably harp about 13th Colony a lot and ASW. I like local products. I like people in it, but it's got to be good. If I'm going to sit there and tell you this is something I like, I better be able to stand behind it and say that I like it. 13th Colony is fantastic for me. I know that there's the double oaked is very, very hard to find. And I know there's another batch coming out that I'll be like the rest of you. I'm going to be hunting it like crazy. I'm still hunting a bottle for a friend right now that if I can get it for him, I'm going to get it for him. So I'm still hunting that. But I was blessed the other day, and I was gifted a bottle of cast strength rye, which was only at their distillery release, and I absolutely love their rye. This cast strength rye is fantastic. I love their Southern whiskey. I love their sour mash, which has been discontinued, but I still have some bottles. So don't be afraid to try something new that's maybe just in your area that you may really find out that you really enjoy, and try to get some of those things, because unfortunately business is business. Right now 13th Colony's doing well, but their sour mash went the way of the dodo bird, and it's a 9-year sour mash, and now it's gone, and the rest of the world's probably not going to get a chance to taste it, and those that really enjoy it still kind of hunt for it. But look locally. There's so many local good distilleries. Don't be afraid to pop your head in, go in a tour, and see if it fits your profile. 13th Colony worked for me. Anytime I see any of their new products out, I'm looking for it, because I know that they're in my wheelhouse of things that I like. Next one down here, man, Russell's Reserve single barrel select stuff. If you haven't had the opportunity, I know Russell's Reserve 13. The 13 is fantastic. But this private select, they've been, for me, fantastic bottles as well. Anytime you find one of these, and you're looking at 110 proof, they're usually about 10 years. And they were, private selected, but I've always found an amazing pour with these. And they may not get the publicity of maybe the 13 or some other things going on out there. But one of the things I always do when I go into a store is I start looking to see, is any of this sitting around? Those who know, but the others may just look at it and go, oh, I can get a 10-year, or I can get this. But if you see these around, these are worth the grab for me, because I definitely have enjoyed those. I find them better than the 10, and some people will say that they've had batches that are better than the 13. Every barrel's a little bit different. So this is an instant buy for me too, when I see it out there. But got to remember, that's in my flavor profile. Doesn't mean you have to see it and run out and buy it. But if you've liked some Russells in the past and you see one of these around, I would invest in a bottle. I think that they're excellent. You're going to probably get them anywhere between 70 and 80 bucks. Maybe some stores are going to charge a little more, but very good pour. Very, very good pour. The next one is probably one of my most undervalued bourbons of the year, and it's hard to say that with a straight face sometimes, but Jack Daniels. Everyone knows about Old Number 7. People will hunt the 12. They'll hunt the Jack Daniels 10, maybe the twice barreled. But if you get the barrel proof single barrel stuff, and I'm blessed to have stores around here where I've gotten 4 different now of the own store picks. They're phenomenal, and they run 126 to up to maybe even hazmat. But for 69 bucks, they're sensational pours. For me, right in my wheelhouse. They're they're thick in the mouth. They've got great proof. Very sweet. You get a lot of different notes going on with them. You get the sweet. I get cinnamon. Sorry about that. The ghosts were back and cut off my camera again. But getting back into the Jack Daniels, you get a lot of different fruit profiles. You get some of the oak. You get a very nice finish. Some of them have some tobacco and leather. Some of that you'll get the bananas going on with it. They really stepped up their game with the Jack Daniels barrel proof single barrel stuff. And the store picks that I've had have been phenomenal. One of my absolute favorite pours, and it's $69.99. And they're readily available, at least in my area. And I know it's not applicable in all areas, but you may have some stuff there that I can't get here. And that happens sometimes. But in this area, very rich targeted for hunting these type of bourbons. If you have not had one yet, find a friend that's got some, or find a store that's got some, and try them out. Like I said, I think it's the best bang for the buck right now are these bottles right here. And I've had some amazing pours, and there's certainly things that are better than this out there. But for my money, if I'm spending $70 on a bottle, it's more than likely going to be a Jack Daniel's Barrel Proof Single Barrel. Now, if I'm spending a little bit more on a bottle, there's a couple of bottles here that are the last two, and these are the bottles when I talk about building relationships and trusting some. So when I talk about trusting somebody else's palate, I mean, I've built the relationship over time with people that they've put me on to things, or they've talked to me about things, or they experienced some of the same bourbons that I've had. And I can say, okay, I got this and this out of this, and this was really good for me. And it's putting conclusions together. You know, this person does a good job of telling me about things that I've tried because of them and I liked, or I've sampled because of them and liked, or I've had it and they were telling me about it and we had similar experiences. So this next bottle came out of talking to two guys at Maple Party Shop, Danny and Matt. They they had talked about a bottle I'd never heard of before, which was Master Pick, and they were telling me that they were doing a reset, and during the reset, they found a case of this in the back. This is the Master Pick 14, and they said it's 14-year-old MGP juice. We cracked a bottle because we wanted to find out a little bit about it, and it was fantastic for them. And having known them and talking enough bourbon with them, I said, this could be right in my wheelhouse. It's got a good proof point that I like. It's got, it's got the years that I like. It's got a juice that I like, but I know nothing about the company. But I know about Matt and I know about Danny, and I'm gonna invest in this. And it's essentially what it is I'm putting, this bottle was $99, you know, and I actually bought the 15 years that had come out, and those are a little bit higher. But it turned out to be one of probably my second favorite finds all year this year. Well, it is my second favorite find. If you were to say, hey, you found this and it was at retail MSRP, what's the one that I'd say came in second place? It's going to be Master Pick stuff. Knew nothing about them at the time. They sourced their stuff out of MGP. They sent it over to Portland. They finish it up there in the barrels up there, and they pull each barrel when it's ready. So they take the time to go through. When they say that barrel's ready, they're going to dump that barrel. They're going to bottle it up, and they're going to send it out for distribution. So it's a single barrel basically. It's coming in at cask strength. It's got great age on it. Absolutely love it. Matt and them had the opportunity when they were up at Prime in Atlanta. There were some 15-year-old barrels with MGP juice. And they were like, yeah, we're interested in it. So they bought those, or they got a portion of those, and I went and bought that and shared it with somebody else, and they absolutely loved it too, and I had to pick up a bottle for somebody else for it. And it's neat how that works. I knew nothing about them, but I trusted the people who I built relationships with. And for me, it's my second favorite bottle of the year that I knew nothing about when I started. Now, anyone's watched the channel for any period of time probably knows what my favorite bottle is. And that's just, it's not the name brand recognition bottle, but it's a bottle that, it started checking all the boxes of things that I like. They Maple Party got it in, and the bottle shop got it in. But I was talking to Matt at Maple Party, and I said, tell me about this bottle over here. And it's this bottle right here. This is the King of Georgia. This is a light whiskey, which means it's a different parameter. It's not be considered a bourbon. At a bourbon, the proof needs to be put in the barrel at a certain proof point. With a light whiskey, they tend to go in a lot hotter, anywhere between 180 and 160 proof. What that does is it takes out some of the things that potentially cause your hangovers, and also that burn in your chest, which makes it a light whiskey, even though it's coming in at 135.6 proof. So these came in. These are $120 a bottle. I have a few bottles of these. but it was something when I tried it, I absolutely fell in love with it. But I considered, what do I want to do? What do I know about this when I make this purchase? I knew it was 15-year plus MGP juice. I knew it was at a very high proof point, which I tend to like my stuff in that 110 to 125 proof, but I was willing to roll on 135.6. Um, just and there's physical traits to it too. Just looking at how dark it is, it reminded me of 13th Colony Double Oak, that deep, rich motor oil color. Um, Also, the distiller. I had trust in the distiller. I didn't know anything about the brand, but I knew had some insight on the distiller. And this was something that Matt and Danny hadn't tried, but for me, it checked a lot of boxes, and I took a gamble on it. And so it turned out to be one of my absolute favorite bottles so far this year. Have I got some fantastic bottles? Absolutely. But this is, it's, to me, it means a little more if it's maybe outside of that parameter of here's what everybody else likes or wants in a bourbon, or this is what everybody's talking about, this bourbon or this bourbon. I like to find things that, number one, they're available. Number two, I'm not going to have to sell off a kidney to get it. And number three, I like to find stuff that maybe is just a little off the beaten path, and listening to the people that I have relationships and trusting them on it. A lot of these bottles here, it was based on trust. People telling me that, hey, you might want to try this, or me saying, this looks like something that could be really good. The Dickel 15, that was based on someone telling me something whose opinion I trusted. The Jack Daniels, it was, this is right in my wheelhouse of things. And you can see where Jack Daniels was changing their dynamic. And I said, I want to try that out. This looks good. This King of Georgia and this Master Pick, this was people that I trusted in the business, that they want to have a good relationship with me. So they're going to kind of put their best foot forward to say, hey, you might want to check this out. And I appreciate it all. And the others were, I found these are different flavors that I like, or this is a consistent product, or these are regional things that really hit in my wheelhouse. So, find what works for you. No matter what I tell you on here, or when anybody else tells you on here, don't run out and buy something just because someone says you got to have it. Make sure it makes sense for you. Trust the people that have been consistent for you and over time have shown you, yeah, this is something that I've tended to like, that they like, and maybe it's worthwhile if I want to try something different. So, all that long wind, these are the bottles that I look for, kind of hunt for when I'm out, and kind of the methodology behind it. I want to look at certain price points. I want to look at certain proof points. I like certain ages. I like certain, companies or distillers, and I have personal relationships with people that I trust. So that's the things that I look for when I hunt bourbon. It's great to pull out some of the bourbons that were maybe up here, or even some of the bigger bottles that are behind me in this cabinet back here. It's great. But I also like to find things that are available that'll satisfy a lot of those same needs or scratch those same itches. But I hope you guys have an amazing day. I hope you've had an amazing weekend. I hope I wasn't too winded, and I hope maybe you found some things here that you might be interested in trying, or maybe the methodology that I apply, maybe it's something that you could look at to say, yeah, maybe this is something that I'll do to make sure it makes sense for my budget and things that I'm hunting. But you all have a great day. Thank you.